Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show, How We Grow. This is your essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business. With advice and insights from the best in the biz, I'm your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Lynell Gordon, your host, and today I am thrilled to have Rachel Alday with me. We're welcoming her back. She is a passionate leader in the vacation rental industry. She is the co-founder and co-owner of Abode Luxury Rentals, where she's built a highly curated portfolio of luxury vacation homes. And she offers bespoke service to guests. And we're going to talk a little bit about that if you don't know what that means. She's also a member of the board of directors for the Vacation Rental Management Association. And she's a part of Women Leading Travel and Hospitality Community. She's dedicated to advancing women's leadership and champion exceptional experiences in the luxury hospitality space. With her extensive background in business strategy and hospitality, we want her to talk about Concierge versus Upsells and the importance of a strong company culture. So welcome, Rachel.
Thank you.
Tell us first, what is Bespoke?
Bespoke, I think I learned this word because I worked for a company that developed a St. Regis. It's the one that was built in Deer Valley or in the Park City area years and years ago. And this was part of one of the words they used in marketing for that St. Regis property. And it like just grew on me and stuck with me. And so when we started our company shortly after that job, it was one of those words that I always wanted to use. And I think in the beginning of our company, I was scared to use it because I was like, but are we bespoke? Now I think we are. So, okay, bespoke means it's kind of like quiet luxury, right? Bespoke is like the Uber high-end luxury. It's like talking about sort of an elite. That's that kind of an adjective, but not in like a garish, flashy way. Bespoke is like quiet luxury, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. I
Yeah,
love that. So
yeah.
tell me, how do you maintain a high level of service with that kind of portfolio?
Yeah, like a lot of dedication and obsession.
Yeah.
Um, we, in the beginning, we took on more properties and some of them that we probably shouldn't have because maybe they didn't fit with what we always knew we wanted a luxury, high-end, very specific type of portfolio. In the beginning, we maybe were slightly more lenient, and over the years, we've had to, fix that and cull some properties, or encourage them to upgrade. But now, one of the ways we keep our portfolio really consistent is that we're turning away about three-quarters of the homeowners that come to us. So we've been in business for like 16, 17 years. So it's a long enough time. We are very established in our three markets. So we do get a lot of homeowners wanting to work with us, and that has afforded us the luxury of, carefully selecting which ones we want to work with because our model has never been that we want to be the biggest, right? We just want to be very specific in what we manage. But along with that means we've had to develop a really carefully arranged process for keeping homes upgraded. Because sure, like, the first 5 years or whatever, you're trying to build this portfolio, this group of really high-end homes, but give it 5 or 8 years, and now most of them are going to need a remodel. And some homeowners are ready for that, and other ones we have to work with. So we've had to come up with a really careful inspection plan along with our rather regular inspections. We do like really in-depth, careful inspections of each house every year. And we're outlining to the homeowner, like, hey, this needs new carpet. This countertop needs to be replaced. We have to go in and ask for the hard changes, the things that homeowners don't necessarily want to do. But we've learned how to do that carefully, efficiently, how to provide the right kind of information that they need in terms of how much more revenue they'll be able to make. And also be able to share with them, like, hey, don't forget, you make an average of this kind of revenue per year on your property. What if we make a plan to take some of that revenue and apply it towards upgrading? Some homeowners prefer to upgrade in small chunks. Some of them want to do it all at once. So that's such a hard thing to achieve. The process of how to speak to your homeowners about how their house isn't perfect and how they need to spend money, almost nobody wants to hear that. So we've really had to carefully come up with how we do that, fine tune the way we communicate it, the way we justify it, and the way we get them to say yes. And knock on wood, we've been like really successful over the last few months. So part of having a luxury portfolio is, being able to have the right kind of a brand and the right kind of a reputation that people who own homes that are valued between like 2 million and $50 million, that they would allow you to, number one, take care of their house, and number two, that they would trust you to pick the right guests to stay there, so that, that, but also allow it to maintain its value. So it's like, there's a lot of prongs, but I do think one side is building a company with a reputation and a brand that the people who own those type of properties will want to work with you. And then the other side of it is building processes in where you can have a way to get them to upgrade so that everything can stay at that level. And then actually the third prong would be being able to provide the service that the guests who are going to spend the prices for properties at that price point, which our stuff is an average of 1,000 or close to 2,000 per night, all the way up to like 20 grand a night. And it's probably like most commonly we're looking around like 5 grand a night. The average I think is more like 8 or 9, but you can look at it all the different ways. But if you're talking about people who are spending, say, 20 to 150 or $200,000 for a week or 10 night stay, the service has to be impeccable, right? So there's also that third prong of like being able to provide the service, which means we have to have a really large team and people have to be really hands-on and all that. So I guess there's the three ways to kind of make that happen.
I love that. And I can attest, guys, one of the ways that someone that I know in the industry does it is they ask their homeowners, these high-end homeowners, to save a little bit for 3 years for specific projects. For instance,
Oh, smart.
there was one of the best renting houses I know. It was great, and it's a luxury rental. They had high-end marble countertops.
Marvel will get you.
They had marble con that it will it will stay too. But they had these high-end cabinets that were custom made. They were made out of cherry wood, and they had like really cool, like even the handles, the knobs were like sterling silver. They're beautiful.
Yeah,
And they're ripping them out this year. And I said, "Why are you ripping these out this year? They're
yeah.
stunning." And she said, "Okay, well, this is one of the high-end properties that we have. It's been and it's lasted for 15 years." And she
Wow.
said, "It's time that, and they have a lot of luxury, they have a lot of repeat rentals that come back there." She said, "People want new." And so she's putting in beautiful brand new cabinets and brand new countertops that are quartz this time, which is a lot better than marble. Which you
Much
may,
more durable.
we didn't know that at the
Yes.
time, now.
Right.
But it's a $30,000 project just to change
Oh,
those
yeah,
things out.
I'm
And
sure.
you're right. It is quiet, high-end luxury. That's what that
Yeah.
is. And it's within the price range that you mentioned. So I think that those strategies to get the homeowners to do that, guys, that is really important. So I
I
love what
mean,
you said about it.
that's taken us a lot of years to be able to be successful in that. To be honest, I would say the first 10 years we were in business, we were at first too afraid to ask. And then second, not good enough at it to get a yes, unless we were just lucky and they wanted to remodel anyway. And so now, through so many mistakes and trial and error, I feel like we finally gotten to the place where my team is reporting to me every day, like, oh my gosh, everyone's really positive about all these upgrades that we're proposing and they're agreeing to it. And we have the plans in place. But we had to make a lot of mistakes. And then we had to really get a whole bunch of things in place, like contractors that we can trust and subs and pricing that's good, all the things. So,
And those are so important.
yeah.
They are having the right subs is just so important. Um,
Yeah.
I say that because I know that for that particular job I was talking about, they're using the same sub that I used for mine, and I was like, oh, you just not every subcontractor is created
Yeah.
equal.
Totally.
So luxury hospitality, it's evolving as we've seen.
Yeah.
We have changing traveler expectations, and what kind of trends do you see influencing the future of luxury vacation rentals, and how are you guys adapting to those trends?
Yeah. I mean, I know like within the industry overall, there's been a bit of a softening, let's say like on the nightly rates and maybe, potentially the number of properties available, or maybe, that's something that might be changing. Instead of being on the upswing, it might be on the downswing. And I think with luxury, it's really interesting. I think it's similar to the rest of the market, but like maybe slower is how I would describe it. When we came into the business, it was '08, it was at the downturn. And at that time, my husband was in real estate before we started the business. And so, his real estate clients kind of dried up. But what was really interesting is all the people that maybe were going to come out and spend, say, $4 to $10 million on a property in Park City, they maybe they decided not to do that. But those people then were definitely going to come out and spend like 20 to 80 grand on a rental for a week, because the difference of, do I want to spend millions and millions of dollars? Like, oh, let's hold off. But they're still going to spend on their travel. And to them, most of our client situations in terms of people that are booking, also same with homeowners, but specifically with people booking reservations at these price points, say 20 to $80,000 for a week. This is not something where they're saving up the money. They're not pinching pennies. You know what I mean? They're not like, hey, let's make a plan so we can afford this vacation, right? These people, they're spending this money. They can make that money back in like a minute, a day, a week. It's not like, it's not about the money. It's like a whole other thing. I do think our industry should really kind of consider this concept overall, not just on the high end, but a lot of times this is about time, not money. People, they can make the money back. And even if you're talking about $200 a night or whatever, if people are saving for it, they've made that commitment, they're saving. But the thing that they cannot make back is their time, right? Like if you have a week with your family, and whether you have a really high paying important job or you do shift work, like that's the only time you have with your family. And so you're not getting it back. So whatever that, people are entrusting to us with their time, like that's even more important than the money. This trip has to be amazing, not just the lodging, but the whole thing. Because if we mess up some part of that experience, the part that we'll never be forgiven for is the part that we messed up their time with their family. Because, like I said, you can't get it back. So that's come into play a whole lot in terms of how we deal with our homeowners, how we deal with our guests, and how we deal with experience creation and all of that. Because we learned early on that the time versus money concept is really important to our clients.
Tell me about for everyone that works 60 hours a week, that time is it's just as important as anything else. Like you say, whether
Yeah.
no matter where you're going to stay. Talk to me about concierge versus upsell. Now,
Okay.
I know a lot of people, I know you spoke about that at Verma, and people may not have understood you what you meant at first, and then afterwards they're like, oh, the light bulb went off and it's amazing. Tell
Uh-huh.
everyone here what we're talking about here.
Yeah, and so I actually just spoke about it at Darm, like, whatever, last week. And I had like a panel with me. And it was so cool because I feel super passionate about this. And it was so cool to hear people that came up to me afterwards, like, oh my gosh, I get it. And I'm so glad because I want everyone to get this. So, because we started our business with the idea from the very first moment that we wanted to only manage higher end homes. And really that came from the fact that for efficiency and for the sake of being able to make money and also have our time in our life to like have our marriage and our kids and everything else, we knew that if we managed higher end homes that had higher nightly rates, we would potentially be able to manage less quantities of properties, but create more revenue, right? So it was for the efficiency of how many reservations we would have to have, how many homes we would manage. But once we made that decision, and we started getting homeowners to work with us and then guests to stay in those houses that were going to spend this money, right? Or, the homeowners that own these like really expensive properties. We realized that we had to provide amazing service. So part of my background a long time ago is I worked in personal shopping with Saks Fifth Avenue. So there's a Fifth Avenue club. In Saks Fifth Avenue flagship stores, you have to spend, okay, like this is literally like 20 years ago, but 20 years ago, you had to spend $100,000 per year at Saks in order to be a client of the Fifth Avenue Club at a flagship store. It's probably more now, but so that's a lot. We had all these high-end clients, and I learned a lot about, a sense of urgency and how important that is, how to provide service. It's that whole bespoke thing, right? And then before we started this company, I also worked for the developer of St. Regis, so more knowledge. Okay, so when we started this, I knew that we had to be creating a level of service that's very high touch and very like it's a lot of high touch, but it's one point of contact is key in this, right? Like these people, like I said, they need to have a beautiful, seamless experience. This should not include, oh, you want to rent a bike? Talk to this person. Oh, you want, right? Okay. So, so from the beginning, we did concierge. And I was lucky enough when I was growing up that my parents took me to really nice hotels and things. So I had experienced throughout my life concierge, what I knew of concierge from a very high-end hotel experience, right? When you go to a nice hotel, you get outreach from the concierge. These days they text you, but they used to call you. And then it's like, can we help you create any experiences during your trip? An example is one of the hotels that I adore in Beverly Hills is called the Mayborn. And one of the things they do that I love that, we also do is we will text the guests, or let me give you the example from their standpoint. So when I go to the Mayborn, I get a text the day before I'm arriving, or maybe 2 days before. It says, do you need car service from the airport? If you do, just let us know your flight number and we'll have someone there. So then I can just write back, yes, my flight number. No, there's no other, then they say, they'll be there to meet you. They'll be there to meet you with your a sign with your name on it. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about money. We don't talk about anything. And this does depend on the level of clientele because some people might be nervous about the money. Now, from my standpoint, I am not wealthy like my clients, but I make enough money that I know a car from the airport at LAX to this hotel is going to be around $100, like 80 or $100, right? And I know if I have the hotel book it, it might be like 150. They're going to
That's
tack
what
on.
I
It's going to
was
be like
thinking.
120.
Yeah.
Yeah, 120 to 150. I know that. So we don't need to talk about it. I don't like, all I know is I don't have a lot of time. I'm busy on my phone. I don't want to haggle. I don't want to conversate on this topic. If you're telling me that I don't have to do an Uber, I don't have to get outside, wait on the corner or on the curb, and then have someone no show, and then I have to redo another, whatever. I know someone's going to be there. They're going to have my name. They're going to take my bag to the car. I'm down. Extra $40, 50, whatever. So that is the kind of service that a high-end concierge provides you, right? I'm just talking to that concierge. I'm not talking to the car service. I'm not going back and forth. It's just like, do you want something? Yes, I do. They're like, we got it. Don't worry, it's done. So this has become a standard that I really wanted to achieve in our business with vacation rentals. And what I found very early on, and I especially learned that this is like more and more true over time, over these years we've been in business, in vacation rentals, for whatever reason, the concept of concierge has started with the idea of finding a way to make more revenue from your guests. So it's more like, can I sell my guests something and I can make a piece of it, right? So it's not about, can I create a beautiful experience? Can I make this feel seamless? Can I make their trip spectacular? It's more like, they're probably going to want beach chairs. So we can make money on that. So let me find the beach chair guy and let me get his link. Let me set up a deal with him. I'll get a discount. And then I'll sell the beach chairs like through a link, through some of these tools online, which are great tools. I'm not like, I don't think that this concept is altogether horrible. I just think we've gone a little far in one direction. So we've taken this concept of upsells. So finding a way to have an add-on to the trip to make more revenue, and we've confused it with concierge. And I think there's a place for both, but I don't think it's okay to say concierge is the same as upsells. And that's what's happened, because I don't know if you know this, but there's only one tool in our industry, one software that works to help you do concierge. You wouldn't think that, because all the software like Rubaroo and all these other sort of guest book, guidebook, upsell tools are marketed as concierge, but they're not. That's an upsell or a guest book or whatever. A guest book is not concierge, right? Concierge is a text, an email, a phone call. I'm here. I work for this company. If you want me to create a whole itinerary for you with snowshoeing to a yurt under moonlight with a private sommelier and then a horse-drawn sleigh ride back to, like, I can do that. If you just want us to set up car service and grocery delivery, we can do that. Like, please tell me, what do you need? And let me make that happen for you. That's concierge, right? Upsell is, hey, look at this menu. Do you want any of this stuff? If so, pick it yourself, pay for it. And then I'm going to set it up with this guy. And then, like, for instance, when I was at Darm, we had a house that we rented. We booked for a golf cart and bikes to be rented. Cool. It was there when we showed up. Some of the bikes chains were off. The golf cart, we couldn't get it to start. So I reached out to the rental company and I said, oh, hey, this stuff's not working. Can you guys help me? And they said, oh, for the bike, contact this person. And they said, for the for the golf cart, contact this person. Like, okay, this is not the end of the world, but like, I'm at a conference. I don't have time for this. So no, can you just call them? And they're like, no, we can't. Okay, so this to me is like the quintessential, if this is like illustrating it, right? Concierge is a seamless experience upgrade. This is a way to provide a service to your guests, and it's far more lucrative than upsells. Upsells, there's a place for upsells and guidebooks, but let's not say it's concierge, because an upsell is just a way to make more revenue, to present options to your guests. This is not bad, but you're not providing a service, right? It's not a bad thing. It's just not the same as concierge. And so the difference with concierge that we found, and we can do like 2 million a year in concierge. That's a lot. But then it's like, well, if I have three people, which I do now, doing concierge full time and a manager over them, how do you pay for that? Right? Like most people would say, well, I don't do high end. I can't create $2 million in revenue. So how am I going to pay for even a part-time person? Well, it's not that hard, actually. Of course, you do need software. So there is one company called Trip Around. They make a software that does pretty good for concierge. We tried it out. It's not perfect for us, but I really, really love that company and I totally recommend them. We ended up creating our own software with JJ King, who I know you had on, and I adore him and
I
Riley.
love him.
But
I love him.
but like I'm nitpicky. We're really into this concierge stuff. So anyway, I wish I'm going to put a word out like concierge software, the way I'm describing this next, to me, there needs to be way more options out there. By the way, we use Streamline. I adore Streamline. I am
So
like,
we'll have
we're
to
one of
get
the,
Streamline to put this into their product.
yes. And
Would
I
you be
do ask
willing
them
to
all the
spec it
time.
out for them?
Yeah, totally. I've been
Done.
specking it out for everyone for like years. I begged Breezeway. I begged Breezeway, they're doing that upsell stuff that they're doing, add-ons. And I talked for months and months with them. They ended up doing add-ons. And that's because the consensus is, well, Rachel, I don't think most companies are going to do this. And it's like, I just don't think people understand this enough. I think it's a misconception. But anyway, we can change it over time. I'm patient. I'm all about the long game. Okay, so the way that you can make money on concierge is we negotiate with our preferred vendor for a 10% discount, right? So we're going to bring them a whole, I don't want to swear, but a crap ton of business, right? If you're a company and you manage 50 properties, 100, 200, you are going to bring this person business. So for instance, the company that we do car service with, the company that we recommend for grocery delivery, and by that I don't mean drop it on the front porch, I mean put it away in the house before they get there, the company that we do private chef with, which we do a few companies, we do a lot of that, and ski gear delivery. Those are our four biggest services because we're in these mountain markets in Park City, Jackson Hole, and Sun Valley. So those vendors, along with every other vendor that we work with, we negotiate a 10% discount. And so they are going to give us a 10% discount on what they charge. So let's say someone's booking car service and ski gear delivery, then we're sending out, we're calling, we're talking to the guests. Hey, here's the most common services people ask for. We can do anything you want. Do you want a naked lady with sushi? Do you want a hot air balloon ride? Like I can do anything. Also, if you just want car service and ski gear, let me know. We can handle that in flash. So those companies, we're getting a 10% discount. We are not putting the guest credit card in for those services. So we pay the vendor for the service with a 10% discount. We then charge the guest full price plus 20%. Now, I do understand in some markets with a lower price point nightly rate, 20% is too much of a markup. Maybe you only add 5% if that's what you can do. You're still making 15. Maybe you add 10. 10's an easy markup, right? 10%, no big deal. And now you would say that people are going to whine and complain about the markup, but I'll tell you, they generally don't. Some people do, in which case we deal with that on a case by case basis. Sometimes we comp the fee because we just charge them full price. So we're still making 10%. But we comp that fee because we're like, hey, we love you as a guest. You don't have to pay that. But usually we don't comp it. And usually what we say, and our team has been really well trained, it's like, hey, this is a special service. You don't have to talk to anyone but one person, the concierge. That's it. You don't have to text anyone different. You don't have to see weird numbers come to your phone, an email you don't recognize. It's just me. You're only going to talk to me. You're going to tell me whatever you want. You name it. It could be small, it could be big. I'm going to make it happen. Yes, that's not free. No, we are not a nonprofit, but this is an amazing like trip. You've already dropped 20 grand or whatever it is on the stay. This is just like a little extra. It's up
How
to
do
you.
you
You can, and
how do you
we
tell
give
them?
them,
How do you ask
we
them
give
how
them the
much it costs?
contact. So, how do we ask the guests or when
Yeah,
they ask
how do you
us?
tell them how much it is? Like you say,
So we
okay,
just tell them. If they ask, we tell them. And we always have on the bottom of the concierge email signature, there's an explanation. And then we're super upfront. It's like, oh, yeah, we have a 20% markup. So we have a 20% fee for these services. And if you don't want that fee, I can give you all the contact. I can put you in, direct contact with these vendors. You can book directly with them, no fee.
Would you send us that language if we email you and ask you
Oh
for
yeah, totally. Yes, yes, yes. So we tell people like, hey, the way I like to word it is like, if you ask us to tell you where you can get ski gear delivery, we're not going to tell you the cheapest option because that's not how we research service. We don't try to just figure out what's the cheapest. We have to know that like the car service is going to be totally reliable. They are never going to no show. Like this can never happen, right? So I need the best car service. Now, is there a cheaper car service? Certainly. I'm sure there is. I can't work with them because they're not reliable. But if you want to find the cheapest car service, Google is at your beck and call. You can always Google, you can always find the cheapest thing. I just don't want to tie my name as a brand to that because it's unreliable and I don't want to be seen as unreliable because if you're booking it through me, you're going to see me as unreliable. So I always just tell the guests, like, we're going to give you the best service. We're going to make it super easy. If you have time and you want to go directly to number one, find the cheapest, or number two, avoid any fees. I get it. Like some people, the focus is the price point, and that is like me too. I can't pay a fee on everything. So if someone's like, no, my father-in-law paid for the trip, and I have to pay for like all these activities myself. I can't afford 20%. It's like no big deal. Let me call the guy. I'll connect you on the phone. You guys can talk. You'll be fine. So if it's like if someone is balking at a fee before we start going, we are super kind and accommodating in terms of let me help you get what the best stuff is without an add-on. I can't do all the footwork for you, but I'm going to make it easy. If someone balks at the add-on fee, like maybe the wife books $50,000 concierge service, the husband sees the bill a week later and he's like, what the heck? He's like 20%. Then we'll sometimes be like, okay, we'll comp it. Don't worry. Because again, we're still making 10%. But honestly, this is less than 25% of the time. It's really not that common that people freak out because most people, like you and I, and like most people that we deal with, they're busy. So they're like, "Ugh, an extra 20%, you know what? Screw it, like whatever, because I'm not going to be able to get this done. I have kids, I have work, I got to, whatever, I have doctor's appointments. I cannot be out there talking to all these different vendors. And we are in a ski market. So people have a lot to deal with ski lessons, ski lift tickets, car service, ski gear. There's so much, in the winter. And even in the summer, it's like people are going on, mountain biking trips and they need all the gear and there's a lot involved in all this. So it's like, going to be complicated. We'll just say, don't worry about it. Like, we got it. Do you want lunch while you're mountain biking? Like I got that too. So the difference with concierge and upsell, again, is like, I think before I go back to this, I want to clarify the making of the money. So if you think about if you could sell, call it $100,000, right? So you're making 30. I mean, you could pay for half a person with 30.
For sure.
And like for us, 100, I can have one person do $100,000 in concierge. It is not, it's probably like 15% of my guests that will spend as much as they spend or double on their concierge as they do on their lodging. Because some of the stuff, private chef, and if they have a big group, it can get really expensive. And so you think about, I could make 30 off one person, right? So I know that what we do is at a different dollar amount than most companies.
A different level
But, I
and
mean,
a different dollar amount. Yeah.
I also have to staff, it's all relative, right? I have to staff up at a higher level than other people and whatever. And also all my staff costs $1 zillion because, lowest hourly rate is like 30 and in Jackson Hole it's 40. So, so there's everything weighs out. But I think important points are number one, there is plenty of revenue to be made from concierge in the vacation rental environment. You have to have a good task management tool, a beautiful tool that will create you a very nice itinerary, not with all kinds of photos and schlock. It needs to be really pretty and clean, and then a corresponding invoice. And they need to be automatically updating because you need to send the guest a link that says, here's your invoice and itinerary. And they're going to change all their stuff over and over. Oh, we want to change the time of dinner. Or now we want to add lunch on tomorrow or whatever. And so that thing is fluid and you need one link that'll always be the updated version. That's what Trip Around does. So because there's only one tool for that, I think that is a barrier in our industry for more companies doing this. Because before Trip Around, like we've been working for years off a Google spreadsheet, which is nightmarish. So there is money to be made. It's just that you need a tool and you need the right mindset. And it is a little more work to provide that level of service, but you're also going to end up with way happier guests and vendors who you're going to be able to give tons of business to. So you're like empowering people in the community to make more money. You're being able to hire another person into your business. Like there's a ton of upside here. And I think the difference of that and is upselling is adding to your guest experience, and it is adding to what you offer, and it is adding to revenue. But if you look at what you can make off upsells versus what you could make off concierge, the way I've described it, you're talking piddly money compared. Now, again, we kind of do upsells because we do send a text to our guests that says like, we have all this concierge. We want to help you with your trip. If you don't want to be bothered right now, and if you just know that you need ski gear, car service, grocery delivery, here's 3 links. If you're not in the mood to talk about this, just click, and it puts them directly into where they can fill out the forms, right? We're still going to reach out to them. My team is still sitting here, so they're still going to like facilitate. But I consider that a little bit more of an upsell situation. It's a little bit of like do it yourself if that's what you're comfortable with. But we also call everyone and whatever. But I think, you can look at what you do if you do upsells, and you can start to consider how you might be able to morph that little by little into more of a true concierge experience.
How We Grow has partnered with Lynell Gordon to bring the vacation rentals market custom protection products built for the needs of the vacation rental industry. Enjoy complete protection for both your travelers and your owners via the industry's leading travel, damage, and liability protection products. Learn more about the travel tech industry's most advanced travel and damage protection platform and API at rentalguardian.com.
So do you call them and do you say, we have all these options. We also have the option of having a personal concierge who will take care of everything. There's a 20% upsell on it. We're happy to do that for us. Which would you prefer? Do you do that?
Yeah. So what we do is we text and we say, here's, we can do all this concierge for you. Also, if you don't want to deal with a concierge, here's the most commonly asked for services. And also they're the ones we have arranged like white label website pages from those vendors. So like basically with those things, we have it set up so that if somebody wants car service and they don't want to talk to us, they could click that link, they can enter in their flight info, car service will automatically be set up. It'll automatically be paid through us, 10% discount. I get 10%, no upcharge on that, right? It's without the 20%. And so they can do that themselves. If a guest, because some people just don't want to talk to anyone. So if they want to just do it online, then it's more of the regular upsell type environment. What usually happens is even if they book it online like that, they end up needing to make a change, yada, yada, and they're calling us. And now we're going to, handle. And then they're like, oh, well, also, like, I really thought it would be fun if we had someone come do après ski happy hour at our house. Could you something, whatever. They have all these ideas. And then we're like, yeah, we got that too. So usually we're able to add on more services. And, our team is trained to put the focus. And this is the other point. If you come at it from guest experience first, not from revenue addition, like not from additional revenue first, your mindset within the company has to be, we're going to create insane, memorable experiences for our guests so that they will always book with us again. And so that when they look back on this trip, they're going to think of that lodging as amazing. But part of what made them think that is because it was so easy and seamless, which is how I feel about the Mayborn. I love that hotel. And there's a lot of reasons, but like a big one is because the stupid car service text that they send me, it's just so nice and convenient. And so it's the same with our guests. It's like, if you can just make it a couple of steps easier, I swear, it's like the amount of money that you can create is exponentially higher if you start from guest experience first. It's like everything, right? It's like if we come at things from like a kindness, generosity approach, like really, I know everyone says this and I never believed it either, but I'm approaching 50 and like it's actually true. If we come at things like from how we can help other people and how we can make their experience better, the revenue just follows. And so I think if you come at it first from revenue, but they'll be happy. It's like, it's not going to flow the same way. In my experience.
No, I understand completely. Listen,
Yeah.
I love this conversation. I think it's really important because you're right. The revenue follows the guest service.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
So tell me your favorite guest story.
Okay, I was thinking of these things. I think I can I give you a homeowner story?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Because I was trying to think of like a homeowner or guest story before the call, and then I had two. Okay, so I have one story that's related to the Enneagram, and then I have one that's about like home. Do you know what the
I want
Enneagram is?
both. Are you kidding? I
Okay, all
want
right.
both,
I'll try to
please.
make it quick because I got to
Let
jump
me.
off soon. Okay. Okay. And look, I look how passionate. I feel like I could barely breathe sometimes when I talk about this concierge thing because it's like I've been so like deep in it and like thinking about it and talking about it for the last couple of years. And I swear, I'm like, oh, I need this figured out
Rachel,
so I can like let it
it's
go.
it's so powerful. It is a very powerful conversation. And it's
I think so too.
obvious that you are very passionate about your guests and making them happy.
I mean, I am. I am. I think my whole team is. I know they are. And that's why this job is so good, right? It's like if you
Yeah,
like this stuff and this is what you do, like you can't not be happy. Okay, homeowners. So one thing we just did, okay, the Enneagram. So you know what the Enneagram is, right?
I do
Do you know
not.
what that is? Okay, you have to look this up. Um, so we have these consultants that we use. They really help us with our company culture. I've been talking about them a lot. Um, their name is Linny and Hart, and they're with this company Tandemly. I adore them. They have changed our company culture for the better in so many
Okay, I
ways. And
do
it's
know
like,
them. I know
okay,
exactly
I'm
what you're saying.
obsessed.
Okay,
I'm
I
obsessed with
got you.
them. Okay.
Yeah, I love
I'll stop
to.
the commercial, but I can't help it. So,
I love them too.
um, yes. And so they introduced us, my husband and I first, to the Enneagram and then our whole company. The Enneagram is a personality test, sort of. I hate personality tests. Like I hate all this, like, I'm a maverick. I'm a like I know everybody loves that and I shouldn't talk smack about it. It's never resonated with me. I'm an EFJ too or whatever. I'm like, nah, I just like I just never liked it. I don't know why. And so the Enneagram, when they brought it to us, I was kind of like, okay, like that's fine, we can try it. But I told them it's not really my cup of tea. Anyway, weirdly, I love the Enneagram. So the Enneagram assigns you take this test, and the way Linny and Hart do it, it's a much more advanced test, and it like changes as you take it. So it's like double check, it's the coolest test. So anyway, you take this test, you get a number 1 through 9. And then that sort of describes like how you see the world coming at you, how you interact with other people, how you behave under stress, how you behave when it sounds a lot like the other tests, but it's somehow very different in my opinion. It just didn't feel it totally has resonated with me in a way no other test has. So one of the first things that we learned with the Enneagram is that I'm an 8, my husband is a 9. The 8 is the active controller. Great. I was like, yay. But anyway, so the 8 is like the bossy, whatever. The 9 is like the passive, like pain avoider. Perfect. The yin and the yang with my husband and I. And it helped me because in the Enneagram language, like it describes how when a 9 and an 8 have a conversation, oftentimes the 8 walks away from that conversation thinking that they just had the best conversation of their life. And they're like, thank you so much. That was the best conversation. The 9 feels like they just got beat up. And that was when we took the test, they explained that to me. I was like, this is life changing because I was feeling that happening with my husband and I for years, but I could not understand it because I just felt like for sure we had the best conversation. And why did he seem so like downtrodden? And I was just always like, is he just like this? Like, but no, it was, anyway. So there's a lot of things that help. We ended up having our whole team take the Enneagram. I thought maybe they would think it was stupid. We have like 60 people. We have like a bunch of inspectors and operations people. And I just thought they would be like, but they love it. They're totally bought in. We had everyone's spouses or partners take the test. So then we do workshops on this every year. Okay, so how does this have anything to do with the homeowner? Well, this year I decided as a Christmas gift, I wanted to give the homeowners the Enneagram test. It costs $100. Um, this good version of it. But I was like, what if we have homeowners take it? Because how cool if we could be more connected to them by understanding how they communicate, where they're coming from, what their style is when they're in like aggression or there's a conflict. I was like, this would be cool, but I think maybe they'll think I'm a weirdo, but also everyone thinks I'm a weirdo, so who cares? So we picked 10 homeowners, and or maybe it's 20. I think maybe we started with 20 homeowners out of our like 200, and we just sent out this email and said like, hey, we love this within our company. It's been a game changer for how we work together. we thought we would offer this to you. Like, you know, there's a cost to this, but we are paying for it for you. If you want to take it, you do not have to. But you know, here's why we're thinking this could be a cool thing if you're interested. We have another gift we're sending out to, like tangible. But anyway, I think we've had 5 people take it already. I think it's been a week. So, oh my gosh, can you imagine if like slowly over time I can get even half of my homeowners to take the Enneagram? Your Enneagram number
Wow.
doesn't change. It's like set when you're little and then you stay the same. So this is really valuable information because it's huge in terms of like, I know that a 4 will never say no when you ask them to do a task. A 4 is like a pleaser. They're going to never. So I have to watch, or sorry, a two is like that. And I have to watch my 2s because my 2s and my team will just say, if someone says, can you do this? They'll say, yes, 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 yes. And they're going to burn out. So I know we have to watch our 2s. We cannot overload the 2. You have to manage their workload for them because they're never going to tell you no. You know, I know a 3 really, really thrives on getting positive feedback and being perceived as successful. So I know that like with my 3s, you know, it's not just about money. They need for other people to know that they did a good job. Like, how can we, I don't know, there's a million things.
No, I
love
get
it.
that. No, completely. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's my homeowner story, which I know is non-typical, but
I love that.
Enneagram for
That's
the
a great
homeowners.
idea, though. Knowing how to communicate with your homeowners is half the battle when it comes to
Right?
maintaining them. Yeah, that was a great idea.
Massive.
Brilliant.
So, I mean, some of them might just totally think we're weird, but I think we're like
And they won't do
established
it,
enough.
but those that will,
Right.
those that will, you will be able to have better
Yeah.
communication with.
I think in the past I might have been too scared to do it, like thinking that someone might like fire us over thinking we're weird. But I think we have enough confidence now. We're like, someone fired us over us saying, hey, you want to take this Enneagram test? Then maybe we're not the right fit, you know? Okay, then the other story, and I need to make it short, which is so hard for me. Okay, so we had this really big client that has 13 homes. This is a person, it's the guy who owns Zappos, Tony Hsieh. Do you know about this man? Tony Hsieh, who owned Zappos and sold it to Amazon, and he wrote a book called Delivering Happiness, which is like the best book. And right around Sundance a few years ago, he came to Park City. He bought a bunch of houses, and we ended up working with him. But the way that we ended up working with him is my story. So before he bought a bunch of houses, he bought one. And we also own the only laundromat in Park City. We use it for our linens, but during the day, it's the only laundromat, like coin up. And so my laundry laundromat team was telling me, because we do pickup and delivery, that they were getting all these orders, massive orders for like bedding for like 15 beds, going to this house right near where our office is, and it's only a 4-bedroom house. And they're like, every day they're dropping off these linens and they want them delivered the next morning for 15 beds. Like this is right after COVID. This is like prime COVID time. And it's so weird. And like they make us, you know, they say they really want everyone to wear gloves and masks, like, of course, but they're just like really, really worried about that. And they want everything wrapped in plastic and, you know, brought to the house. And it's just a weird situation. And we don't like, this is strange. And we're dealing with this woman, it's the assistant. And I was like, yeah, that, you know what? I'm going to do that pickup and delivery a few times. Let me do it because I want to know who is this person, right? It was a great house, by the way, a really good rental house. It would have been. It's right by the ski resort. So one day I put on my Abode Luxury, because the laundromat is called Lolo's and our company is Abode Luxury Rentals. So I put on my flannel that we always have made for the team that have like a patch that says Abode, and my gloves and my mask. And I go over to like pick up the laundry, and the person that comes to the door, you know, I'm like, oh, hey, we're so grateful to have your business. Like, thank you. How did you find out about Lolo's? She's like, oh, the company that we're using to help take care of the house. I was like, what company is that? She tells me the name of the company. You know, I'm like, okay, cool. You know, we're just so grateful. Thank you. And whatever we can do to help you, if you ever need any other help, we've been here in town for 20 years. Like, you know, tell us. So then I reach out to that company owner because I knew them. And I was like, who is this? Turns out, oh, it's Tony Hsieh. He bought this house. He's the guy from Zappos. And he's got all these people that he brought to town, and they're all staying in this house, but they're looking for more houses. They're going to buy a bunch of houses. And so, of course, I'm like, Tony Hsieh is like my idol. Like his book, Delivering Happiness, is one of those life-changing books for me. And like, I want to meet him. Like, this is, you know, I want to work with him. Like I already am with the laundromat. But so anyway, I ended up being a conduit with his assistant and calling and saying like, oh, I heard that you guys are looking for more houses. I actually have a vacation rental company. Do you want to rent some of these houses? Or if you buy more, I could manage them for you. We could, you know, and then that turned into this huge conversation, and we got to meet Tony Hsieh and have meetings with him. And, unfortunately, he wasn't at the best place in his life at that time. And so then it was maybe a year and a half later, and then he had passed away. And, it was really, I mean, the part about how it ended with him was excruciatingly sad. And, the good thing to come out of that is that his family is managing, or the estate, right, owns all those properties. They've really done a good job in sort of carrying on what he was trying to create and following his legacy. And, Tony Hsieh had just such an amazing legacy of helping people and positivity within the workplace and
Amazing.
workplace company
Yeah.
culture. And he has this huge legacy, and they've done an amazing job like carrying that out. And they've been so wonderful to work with. So we still manage those houses, and they do, significant revenue every year. And the estate is so wonderful at keeping up the houses and working with my team. They're like so friendly. So it's been really positive and amazing. But the funny thing is that the way it started is that our laundromat was doing these linens, and I made this effort to like go over there and just try to, find out what's going on and meet people. And then it just snowballed, as things do. And I think it's one of those examples, because we actually are working with another new client recently that came out of a similar situation where like I went to a conference, I saw someone that didn't know anyone else. So I just sat next to them. We talked, and now it's turned into something big. And I think it goes back to that thing about like, if you come at things from a place of generosity, it's crazy what can happen. And it can't be disingenuous. Like it can't be like, I'm going to pretend to be generous so I can get something. You have to be like for me, I have to like, okay, get everything out of my mind. And I just want to be like in this moment, focused on like, what can I do for this person? How can I help them? I'm not trying to think of what I can get out of it, because I can trust that like the universe has its way of making things right. And so like, if you put whatever you put out is what you get back. And I feel like it's just proven itself that that's true over and over. And I guess you probably have to live on the earth long enough to be able to see that for most people. And maybe that's what's finally happened for me. But I love that story, because that is what happened. It's like I had an idea, so I just tried to go and like offer more service and be kind. And I don't know where it was going to go, right? I had no idea they were going to buy more houses or what it would turn into. And then it just turned into things. And it's been such a positive thing in my life, because getting to meet a person that was so important to me, getting to work with him and his family over all these years, that's life changing. And I think it's impacted my team, because I got so into that book. I had my whole team read the book. And then from there's a list of books in Delivering Happiness that Tony Hsieh recommended to his team years ago. I made that. That's how we started our library that we have in our office. And it's just like a huge snowball effect, flywheel, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it's crazy how that all happens,
You are such a bundle of energy and love.
Spazziness.
You have such a heart for people, Rachel. You do. You all, and you're right. You always come at it from generosity, even in the meetings that we've been in. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to share this with people. It can be business changing, which can be life changing, guys. So if people want to reach out to you, what's the easiest way for them to reach out to you?
Probably LinkedIn. I'm definitely on LinkedIn, like Rachel Alday with Abode Luxury Rentals. My email is Rachel, Rachel, at Abode, A, B like boy, O, D like dog, E, luxury rentals with an S.com.
I really thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I love being around you. I love having you. Your energy is just wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
This episode of How We Grow is brought to you by Rental Guardian. To find out more about how Rental Guardian can help grow your vacation rental business, visit rentalguardian.com. Make sure to search for How We Grow in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.